The old man was standing in the middle of the crowded market when someone threw a rotten tomato at his feet. Laughter exploded around him. Another man pointed at his torn shirt and shouted that he should stop pretending to be human and start begging properly. The elderly man lowered his head, trembling as people recorded him on their phones. Nobody stepped forward. Nobody except a poor young woman who had less than $5 in her pocket and no idea that the helpless old man in front of her was about to change her life forever. Her name was Amara, a 24-year-old woman who worked wherever she could find work. Some days she washed dishes at a roadside restaurant. Other days she helped vendors carry boxes, cleaned small shops, or sold fruit when the market was short-staffed. She lived alone in a tiny rented room behind an old mechanic's workshop, and every coin she earned had a purpose. Rent. Food. Medicine for her sick mother who lived in another town. There was never anything left for herself, but Amara had learned that poverty could take away comfort without having to take away compassion. That morning, Amara had gone to the market to buy a few vegetables with the last money she had. She was already worried because her mother's medicine was almost finished, and she did not know how she would afford the next prescription. Then she saw the crowd. At first, she thought there had been an accident. But as she pushed through the people, she saw the old man sitting beside a fruit stall, struggling to stand. His clothes were filthy and torn, his sandals were broken, and his hands shook badly. A group of young men were laughing at him because he had apparently dropped several oranges while trying to carry them. One of them called him useless. Another mocked the way he walked. Someone else raised a phone and began filming. Amara felt something tighten inside her chest. She knew what it felt like to be judged because you had nothing. She knew how people could look through you as though poverty made you invisible. Without thinking about what anyone would say, she walked straight into the crowd and bent down beside the old man. She helped him stand and gently brushed dirt from his shoulder. Then she picked up the oranges scattered across the ground and placed them back into the basket. The crowd became quieter, but a few people continued laughing. One man sarcastically asked whether Amara had decided to become the old man's personal servant. Amara ignored him. She asked the elderly man if he was hurt. He looked at her with tired, frightened eyes and slowly shook his head. His voice was barely audible when he thanked her. Amara noticed that he was breathing heavily, so she guided him toward a shaded bench near the fruit stall and bought him a bottle of water with the little money she had. If you believe kindness still matters, if you believe everyone deserves dignity no matter how poor they are, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Sometimes one small act of kindness can become the beginning of an entirely different life. Amara sat beside the old man until his breathing became normal. She discovered that his name was Samuel. He did not tell her much about himself. Whenever she asked where his family was, he simply smiled sadly and said they were far away. Amara noticed that he kept touching an old silver watch on his wrist, almost as though it reminded him of someone. Before leaving, she bought him some bread with the remaining coins in her purse. Samuel tried to refuse, but she insisted. She told him she could go without lunch for one day. He stared at her for a long moment, and there was something in his expression that made Amara feel he was looking at more than just her face. He was looking at her heart. That evening, Amara returned to her tiny room exhausted and hungry. She had no idea that Samuel had spent the next hour making a phone call from an old phone hidden inside his pocket. Across the city, inside the glass tower of one of the country's most powerful companies, a billionaire CEO named Daniel Carter suddenly received a call that made him leave a board meeting without explanation. Daniel had been searching for his father for 3 days. Samuel had disappeared from a private rehabilitation facility after becoming frustrated with the attention and security surrounding him. He wanted to walk through the city like an ordinary man. He wanted to know whether anyone would still treat him with dignity if they believed he had nothing. Daniel had never approved of the experiment. His father was 78, vulnerable, and stubborn. But when Samuel finally called and told him what had happened, Daniel's anger disappeared. His father explained that dozens of people had laughed at him, recorded him, and humiliated him. Then he described the young woman who had stepped forward when everyone else stepped back. Daniel immediately asked to meet her. The next morning, a black luxury vehicle stopped outside the small restaurant where Amara worked. Daniel stepped out wearing an expensive suit, accompanied by 2 assistants. Everyone inside became silent. Amara assumed he was an important customer. She had no idea why he was looking directly at her. Daniel walked toward her and asked if she remembered helping an elderly man at the market. Amara froze. Then the restaurant doors opened again. Samuel walked inside. Amara's eyes widened as the old man she had helped appeared wearing clean clothes, standing straight, with Daniel beside him. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Daniel finally revealed the truth: Samuel was not homeless. He was the retired founder of Carter Global Holdings, and Daniel himself was its billionaire CEO. Amara stepped backward, overwhelmed. She immediately said she had not helped Samuel because she expected money. Daniel smiled and told her that was exactly why he had come. He explained that wealth had surrounded his family with people who wanted something from them. But Amara had seen an old man being humiliated and helped him when she believed he could give her nothing. Daniel asked what she wanted in return. Amara looked down and quietly said she wanted enough work to pay for her mother's medicine. Daniel's expression changed. He told her she would never again have to choose between food and medicine. But he did not simply hand her money. He offered her a paid position at one of his community foundations, where she could help elderly and struggling families receive food, medicine, and temporary housing. Amara accepted, not because she wanted luxury, but because she understood what it meant to stand alone when nobody cared. Months later, Amara's mother received proper treatment. Amara became one of the most respected workers in Daniel's foundation. Samuel visited her often, and their friendship became something neither of them expected. He would sit with her during community projects, telling stories about his younger years, while she reminded him that a person's worth was never measured by the clothes they wore. One afternoon, Daniel watched his father laughing beside Amara at a community center. He realized that his father had gone into the streets looking for proof that kindness still existed. Instead, he had found someone who had reminded an entire family what kindness truly meant. The people who had mocked Samuel that day eventually saw the video spread across social media. But Amara never celebrated their embarrassment. She simply hoped they had learned something. Because the greatest twist was not that the old man was wealthy. The greatest twist was that Amara had been kind when she believed he was completely powerless. And sometimes, that is the real test of a person's character. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe for more stories that remind us that one good decision can change a life. And before you go, comment, "Kindness has no price," if you believe we should treat every human being with dignity, regardless of their money, clothes, status, or appearance. Amara never became rich because she helped a billionaire's father. She became rich in something far more important: purpose, dignity, love, and the knowledge that when everyone else chose to laugh, she chose to care. And that single choice opened a door she never knew existed.